An acre of good American cropland can sell for well over $10,000, yet the crop grown on that same acre might clear only a few $100s of profit in a year. On paper, that's a terrible return. So why do people keep paying more and more for dirt that earns so little? The answer reveals something surprising about what farmland actually is. First, the scale of it. In 2025, the average value of American farm real estate hit a record, around $4,350 an acre. But good cropland averages closer to $5,800, and in the richest regions like the Corn Belt, prices run nearly double the national average. Some prime ground changes hands for well over $10,000 an acre, and the best fields go for far more than that. States like Michigan, Tennessee, and South Dakota have seen values jump the fastest. And here's the strange part. These prices keep climbing, rising faster than inflation year after year, even in seasons when crop prices are weak and farmers are barely breaking even. That's the puzzle. If the land is getting more valuable while the farming on it is getting harder, then the value clearly isn't coming from the crops alone. Let's make the paradox concrete. The income a farmer actually earns from working an acre, after seed, fuel, fertilizer, and equipment, typically comes out to only about 3 or 4% of what the land itself is worth. Put another way, if you bought a field purely to farm it and lived off nothing but the crop profit, it could take 25 or 30 years just to earn back the purchase price. No sensible investor buys an asset that pays back that slowly on income alone. So either farmland is wildly overpriced or the crops are only a small part of the story. It turns out it's the second one. To see why, you have to split a piece of farmland into the two very different things it actually is. Every acre of farmland delivers two kinds of return. The first is income, the money the crop earns each year. The second is appreciation, the steady rise in the value of the land itself over time. And here's the key fact. Over the long run, appreciation has usually been the bigger of the two. In a widely tracked farmland index, a recent yearly total return of about 8% split into roughly 3.5% from income, and 4.5% from the land simply gaining value. Historically, that appreciation has contributed 2 to 3 times as much as the annual crop income. So the farmer harvesting corn is really earning money in two completely different ways at once. And the quieter one, the land quietly becoming worth more while they work it, often matters most of all. So why does farmland reliably appreciate? The simplest reason is the oldest one in real estate. They aren't making any more of it. The supply of good farmland is essentially fixed, and it's actually shrinking, as fields on the edges of towns get paved over for housing, roads, warehouses, and increasingly solar farms. Meanwhile, the world needs more food from that finite ground every single year, as the global population grows and diets get richer. Fixed supply meeting steadily rising demand is a recipe for prices that grind upward over decades. On top of that, farmland has a reputation as a safe, real asset, one that tends to hold its worth when inflation eats away at the value of cash and paper investments. In uncertain times, people trust dirt they can stand on. There's also something deeper going on, older than any spreadsheet. For most of human history, land was wealth. Owning ground meant security, status, and something you could pass down to your children and grandchildren. That instinct hasn't gone away. There's a famous piece of advice often credited to Mark Twain: buy land, they're not making it anymore. Farm families often hold onto their acres for generations, not because the yearly farming is lucrative, but because the land itself is the family's fortune, a store of value that has survived wars, recessions, and currency collapses. When you buy farmland, you're not just buying next year's harvest. You're buying a piece of one of the most durable forms of wealth that has ever existed. There's another force pushing prices up. A farmer is no longer bidding against just other farmers. Big investors, pension funds, and even billionaires now buy farmland as a stable, inflation-resistant place to park money, treating it almost like gold that also happens to produce income. Energy companies want those same flat, open, sunny acres for solar panels and wind turbines, and they can often pay far more per acre than any crop could ever justify. And since more people can now work remotely, some buyers want rural land purely for lifestyle, with no intention of farming it at all. When a single field can be valued as a crop producer, a solar site, a financial investment, and a country homestead all at the same time, the price gets set by whoever wants it most, and that is rarely the person who just wants to grow corn on it. This creates a serious problem inside agriculture itself. When land costs far more than farming it could ever pay back, it becomes almost impossible for a young or new farmer to buy in. The income from crops simply cannot cover the loan payments on ground that's priced like an investment asset. So more and more farmland ends up owned by established operations, outside investors, and landlords, while the working farmers who actually grow the food increasingly rent the ground they plant rather than own it. The average age of farmers keeps climbing because the next generation can't afford to start. The land beneath American agriculture keeps getting more valuable, even as owning it slips further out of reach for the very people who work it. So So the next time you drive past an ordinary field, remember that its price tag has almost nothing to do with this year's harvest. You're looking at a finite, inflation-proof, centuries-old form of wealth that just happens to grow food on the side. In the end, the real crop isn't the corn or the wheat. It's the dirt itself, quietly appreciating under everyone's feet. Subscribe for more of the hidden economics behind the food you eat.